A Juan Soto decision is only a matter of moments away now, and we said it would be this weekend. We've been hearing that it's going to be this weekend, and guess what? It's the weekend. So I'll break down the new reports and much more on this episode of Jay's Digest. Welcome in, everybody, to Jay's Digest. I'm your host, Peter Vryonis, alongside a host, Nick Gosse, and hopefully you're all enjoying this Juan Soto saga that is hopefully going to be coming to an end fairly shortly because we're expecting a decision either today or tomorrow, at the latest Monday, by all accounts, by all the reports that we've been seeing online and hearing as well. But it hasn't been it hasn't been like steered away from drama in a sense. Like there has been so much drama in this entire thing
For
that's been
every
going
team
on
involved.
here for every team, exactly. Whether it's the Jays, the Yankees, the Mets. I mean, we're hearing conflicting reports each and every day, and we're trying to sift through all of it. But just end this madness. Let him sign and let him make a decision so we could go on with the rest of the offseason.
Yeah, there's a lot of A, rumors going around, reports going around, and B, once he does sign, Peter, there's a quick turnaround regarding, the Blue Jays. They have a lot of work to do if he doesn't sign with the team, and I think they're ultimately waiting for him to sign. Let's dive into some of the reports here, and there's a bunch of them. This is a big screenshot, but I want to start with this one, Peter, because it's been a little bit here. So, John Heyman, disastrous day for John Heyman. Yeah, a hilarious day, I should say, for John Heyman yesterday. If you missed that, I'm not going to dive into it here on the channel, but go ahead and check out some of the stuff. He had a very interesting interview, I should say, but we'll leave that for another day here. But the Jays offered Juan Soto at least $700 million. That came out from John Heyman. Every team has offered Juan Soto at this point $700 million besides the Los Angeles Dodgers. So you can see this here. Four teams are in the ballpark of $700+ million. And there's a lot of interesting things. And he had a new report come out late last night. So at least four teams, the Mets, the Yankees, the Red Sox, and the Blue Jays, are thought to be in the range of the record figure, as we know. And Soto's goal, so he kind of describes what's in Soto's head right now. Of course, this is coming from Scott Boras. He's a Scott Boras mouthpiece. Soto's goal going into the big winner sweepstakes was to identify a consistent winner who'd pay what he's worth, which is all the teams, which is turning out to be a lot. And it isn't believed that any team has separated itself financially yet, which is making the decision difficult. And altered offers are said to have come in within the last day or two and still coming in, which can complicate matters here. And he's known to be patient. All four bidders have some positives and negatives, and even high-ranking executives are growing anxious about Soto because once he signs, expect a flurry of activity at the winter meetings, which unofficially begins tomorrow. So a bit more information surrounding his headspace. There is a report about the Jays in this, which I'll show you in a minute here. But I just want to get your thoughts on this, Peter. The Jays have offered over $700 million. Executives are getting anxious and antsy, and it seems like Juan Soto, no team or owner or any front office group has given him a significantly higher offer, which bodes well for not really the Jays necessarily, because they probably going to need to go way above. But I don't know if it bodes well for anybody here. I thought Steve Cohen would
Yeah.
come with a huge offer if you're a Mets fan out there.
Well, I'm sure he's waiting for that moment to pounce, but I want to refer back to one of the sentences there that's saying he had a couple of counter offers, which I found pretty interesting. The way I see it, and I'll look at it from a Yankee perspective here. Their captain, Aaron Judge, signed a $360 million deal. So if they've already offered $700 million, I feel like that's it. You either want to be a Yankee or you don't. I can't see them giving Juan Soto two times more money than their captain, than their face of the franchise. I find that very hard to believe. And the way that the Yankees have operated lately is that it's a privilege to be a Yankee. We don't have to beg you to come play for our team. Now the Mets, that's another team that scares me in these sweepstakes because obviously we know about Steve Cohen and his desire to get Juan Soto. He will not be outbid. He has publicly said that. All the reports that we have seen have come out and said that same exact thing. So that's why it's believed that the Mets are going to be at the top. And the fact that they went to the NLCS last year and pushed the Dodgers to 6 games, I think that can prove that they're going to be a consistent winner based off the combination that Steve Cohen spends money and they're in a very big market as well. So that's why I have the Mets in the pole position right now. But the Blue Jays, I think have the ability to keep upping their offer and to go toe to toe with Steve Cohen, which is not something that I think the Red Sox, the Yankees, and the Dodgers are going to be willing to do. I'm not saying they can't do it, but it's just not something that they are going to do and need to do necessarily. So I wouldn't be surprised if it comes down to the Mets and the Blue Jays, but as of now, I still stand on the fence that, on the side of the fence rather, that the Mets are going to be the team to beat in these sweepstakes. And unless you come in with an overwhelmingly uh, big offer, then I find it hard to believe that he's going to turn down going to the New York Mets.
Yeah, and that would be the best case scenario, or best, I guess, plan B case scenario for the Blue Jays. Get them out of the AL East. And what you actually just mentioned, John Heyman in this article goes through each team and gives positives and negatives, and basically, and he does it for the Jays, which I'll show you now, but basically for the, you can see this here. So we'll start with the Jays. The Jays, who like the Mets, carry the potential to be uber aggressive in bidding, look like a much better team on paper than they showed in 2024, but their two big stars, Vlad and Bo, are free agents, so their future may look less assured than that of the Yankees. So he does give the Jays some props here, saying they are going to be a better team on paper, which a lot of reporters out there are kind of writing off. Regarding the Mets and the Yankees, so basically as positive for the Yankees was, they probably have the best team right now to win a World Series over the next couple of years, basically just running it back. They've already lost a couple of key pieces, most notably Clay Holmes yesterday. And they have a pending free agents, Gleyber Torres, Anthony Rizzo, some guys like that. So that's the Yankees. Their strength is that they have the best team right now. And the Mets is that their team is kind of, unsure. Like they're unsure about the team. And I want to ask you about this now. We've been talking about how the Mets have obviously the most aggressive bidding and how their team is so much better than the Toronto Blue Jays. And that's what people are saying. The article from John Heyman basically goes on to say that, hey, the Mets at this point have a lot of question marks as well. Pete Alonso, I mean, they're probably going to retain him, but there's a chance he's still pending. A chance he leaves. They have a lot of other players. Luis Severino, one of their best starters last season, is gone as well. So it's not like the Mets are in an amazing spot when it comes to winning a World Series right now, and the team that is currently constructed. Of course, you bank on the fact that they're going to make a lot of signings, whether or not they sign Juan Soto. But it was an interesting piece from John Heyman's article going through the positives and negatives. And regarding team construction, like the Jays are similar in certain ways to the Mets, and they're both not looking great right now. But you could argue that the Blue Jays at this juncture have at least comparable talent when it comes to winning next season compared to the Mets.
Yeah, but the one thing that the Mets do have is that they went deep in the
Yep.
playoffs last year, and they have consistently spent a lot of money. It was supposed to be a rebuild season for them last year. Luis Severino was their ace. I'm not sure that's what they anticipated going into the season, but it ended up working out, and they beat the Phillies, they beat the Milwaukee Brewers en route to the NLCS. They had to go through a gauntlet of teams before they actually faced off against the Dodgers, and they won an extra game against the Dodgers, which is something that the Yankees didn't manage to do. So I understand what you're saying here, Nick, by all of the free agents or the pending free agents that they have, but I mean, this is a team that was 2 wins away from a World Series, and their owner has shown the willingness to outspend everybody. They had the highest payroll in baseball last year, and half of that payroll was playing on a different team. So it just shows you
Sure.
how little he cares about the checks that he is signing. He just wants a winning product on the field. And I think that's what they're trying to sell to Juan Soto here. So that's why it's a dangerous game going toe to toe with a guy like Steve Cohen. It's because he does not care. He will do whatever it takes to get Juan Soto. And for that reason, I feel like you need to have a hard line if you're the Toronto Blue Jays and just stick to that. And if Steve Cohen manages to outbid you by $50 million, don't try to go toe to toe with him. I want Juan Soto. Don't misconstrue my words here. I want him to be a Toronto Blue Jay. But as I've mentioned in a previous video, that if it gets to around 800 million, which is a figure that has been thrown out there, I don't know if I'm comfortable doing that if I'm the Blue Jays. And there could be some opt-outs. There could be some ways to kind of be smart with that money and not have it impact you over the entire length of that contract. But if you spend $800 million, I don't think you're going to be as inclined to address the other pieces on the roster that need to be filled. And that is my concern because Soto is a great player, a fantastic player, and he's in his prime. You're going to get a prime level, top level hitter for a very long time, presumably at least. But you still need one more starting pitcher. You still need a third baseman. You still need another bat in your lineup as well, and bullpen help. Let's not forget the bullpen help too. So Soto, in my opinion, would not be enough, which is if it gets to a certain level, and I'm talking $800 million, 750, I'll do that. But 800, it just feels like a hard line that is being crossed for me, and I feel like that just hurts the team because you won't be able to maximize every position that you need to maximize.
Yeah, and you can see from Heyman yesterday. I don't think Soto signs tonight. Probably tomorrow. Tonight being yesterday, so tomorrow being today. So today or Sunday. And yeah, I mean, we saw an article from Schneider saying that they're all in on Juan Soto, and that if they're going to do it, he basically had a whole article talking about deferred money and how they take that approach and defer it as far away as they can, similar, and be very creative in the structure there. So maybe they are willing to go to that number you just mentioned, 800, but defer a ton of the money so they can still spend this season. But it's going to be interesting. We have a classic Hector Gomez bomb. I'll keep you updated. The long-awaited signing is coming. So for Hector Gomez, keep us updated on that front. And again, a final note before we wrap up from Jon Heyman, who's kind of the only reporter talking about it right now. Obviously, Scott Boras mouthpiece. Opt-outs in any deal he signs. Dodgers have the low bid. 4 other teams in the range. With the Mets, the roster around him is an issue. No one behind him in the lineup, and won't say the Yankees are favored. All 5 in play, and the Mets have to up their offer. And I wanted to throw this in here because, Peter, I think we're both at this point as well. The Soto negotiations have reached a point where the fan base that gets him will be excited, and the other fan bases will just argue that they're happy their team didn't spend that much money on one player, which
I don't know. I'll take them. I'll take them, but I do think there needs to be a hard line, and I'm glad that we got that soundbite out of Jon Heyman yesterday. And if you haven't checked that out, just look up Keith McPherson, Jon Heyman, and you'll find what you need to find. It was funny, and it provided a little bit of
yeah.
laughter in this situation that has been, I think, stressful for a lot of different fan bases.
Yeah, I feel a bit bad for Jon Heyman, to be honest, but I'll
Nah,
it is
I
what it
don't.
is. He's done a lot to
You're the one that keeps calling him a Scott Boras mouthpiece.
I do still
You
consider
call that you say that about 2 times every video,
it
so
is
I
true.
don't know how bad you actually feel about the guy, Nick.
Yeah, well, go check out that clip. It was an interesting one, but at the end of the day, I will give Jon Heyman his props. He's been pretty solid reporting this
Yes.
offseason, something that he's changed since the whole arson judge incident. He's been solid over the past couple seasons. So, at the end of the day, Peter, I think this is coming to an end. It's coming to an end very fast, and we'll keep you up to date with all the latest news. So make sure to hit the subscribe button. See you later.